Hi, this is Elizabeth Durazo, Maria Janowski of HBO's Eastbound and Down. I hope you catch my upcoming interview of Aspiring Hollywood.
Welcome to Aspiring Hollywood. I'm Luciano Saber, and today we have another great show for you with Tim Lampros from TDJ Studios in North Hollywood. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We've been shooting at TDJ Studios now for a few months, shooting Aspiring Hollywood. Thank you for your hospitality.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So talk to us about the studio.
We're an independent film and television studio. We cater to the independents, the people that say may or may not be on a limited budget, but limited resources, and we've got a project that we want to take as far as we possibly can, and we need a facility that will help us get there.
Right.
You know, Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony, they're all right down the road, but you know, they're big guys. They're big, and a lot of the production these days are a lot smaller. And we have a two-stage facility. We have one of the largest green screens in the Valley, you know, in North Hollywood, definitely in North Hollywood. The first time we've flown 2 actors through the green space, the volume. But this commercial coming up is we're going to float 5 actresses at the same time.
Wow.
And you're going to be there shooting the behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
And boy, we're excited about that because that's really stretching the limits of what can be done, period. That's a big stretch. But there's a spirit with an independent filmmaker. It's still more about the story and the art. And if we sell it, we sell it, you know,
right.
Then one of the majors or the networks, you know, they have to look at their bottom line a little bit. If they're spending $3 million on something, they have to say, how are we going to get that $3 million back? So they have to kind of fit the story into what they know will sell.
3 million or 300 million in some cases.
Yeah,
right?
It's all money,
yeah.
And it's important to somebody. So somebody that comes in here and says, I have 3,000. Yeah. That's as important as, you know, 30 million to Fox.
Of course.
So we treat it accordingly. But yes, we do. We really like to cater to your type of independent people.
Yes, and you've worked on some major productions, right?
Yeah,
One of the best actually was it Titanic? Or?
Yeah, I worked on Titanic.
Yeah.
I've worked on movies from Titanic to Charlie's Angels to Alien to X-Files, and I was in charge of safety for all those projects. And a lot of your viewers may not know this, but on these big, massive movie productions, a lot of people get hurt and sometimes people get killed. Right. And we're making entertainment. Somebody's not supposed to get killed on that type of work. Yeah. But it's making movies is dangerous. It really is dangerous. You got fire, you got explosives, you got weapons, you've got heavy equipment, and actors that aren't maybe you know, used to this stuff, and stuff happens. But
well, you know, you're talking about action adventure, of course, but I'm sure that romantic comedies can be dangerous as well, where the leading actress falls in love with a leading man, and that creates all kinds of tabloid.
Yes, you know, that's. You know, there's what they always call these set romances. It happens with actors and crew and crew and crew and actors and actors. And
those are the most dangerous sets, right?
I will tell you a story. I was coming back from Con Air, and we were up in Wendover, Utah, shooting parts of Con Air, and we were gone for maybe, I don't know, about a month or so. I remember getting a ride with one of the grips. And I lived in Manhattan Beach at the time, and we got off the plane at LAX, and we shared a cab ride to Manhattan Beach. And we pulled up in front of, we're coming down the block to his house, and we're talking. I see this strange, you didn't understand what it was. You're pulling up, and there's this big pile of something in his lawn.
Oh.
We pull in, and it's all his clothing, and it's covered in condiments. Ketchup and mustard and all sorts of stuff. And his wife, he'd had a set fling, and his wife knew about it, and that was his welcoming party back to the house. But so yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to work with James Cameron on Titanic, and that was enlightening. You have a director that has hundreds of people working underneath him trying to get the vision. And the vision is written on paper, and then it's storyboarded, and then it's in the director's head. So you've got hundreds of people building things in costume and makeup and hair and sound and the lighting styles and all this stuff, and one person has to communicate whether that's right or not. It's difficult and challenging, but at the end, it's extremely rewarding to sit in that movie theater and go, I helped make that. And for a director to say, you know, I guided hundreds of people to get that image, that's all inspiring. So it is difficult, but it's rewarding.
Now, you're a director of sorts as
Yes,
well. Talk
yes.
to me about that. You've worked on a few projects.
Well, I've directed my own projects, and so I can understand with some authority, you know, exactly how that works. And about 8 years ago, I had already directed a couple of my own projects. And about 8 years ago, I got into the studio because I understood that the person that's in charge of their own destiny is the person that really has a network of creating the content and marketing the content. If you can control where it's going, you're in control of your destiny. So I opened a business, the studio. It's been growing for 8 years. And I actually found out that running a business like this, you don't have the time and the ability to actually go off and direct again. Well, I've got the business now where it's kind of self-supportive. I did direct a show last year, a reality show. We fully made that, and that's exciting. I shot this almost entirely here at this studio. We used another studio in El Segundo, California for the casting segments. But the show is about actors coming from around the world to Hollywood, and they just don't know how professional this business is. It is exceedingly professional. You are considered an expert, and you have to know what you're doing. You have to get the shot. And that is challenging at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. after a 15-hour day. Or, hey, you're in a bikini and we're in California in February, but it's 38 degrees and you have to look like it's the beach in Florida and 78. Now get the shot and you're shivering. Right. You know, you as an actor, it's difficult. It's challenging. It's hard. It's work, and you have to be a pro. And so this reality show is about the reality of getting here and having to do that. Right. So, and it is tough.
Now, you say that you shot it last year, but I want the audience to understand that it's not so simple. I mean, you've worked on developing this idea for how many years?
8.
For 8 years.
As I was directing and producing and working on these sets like Titanic, I saw an actor coming into that type of extremely professional, highly skilled, everybody knows what they're doing. Yeah. And then an actor would come in and for 1 or 2, 3 days and not really mesh into those skill levels because they don't do it enough and they don't prepare correctly. There's a saying, practice makes perfect. That's a flawed statement. Practicing perfection makes perfect. Right. So if you practice something other than what you're going to do, you're not prepared for it. So that gave me the idea, owning the studio, to get actors to come in and really put them through the test. Can you get this shot? And we set up these circumstances and sets that are very demanding. And then the rub is that a lot of them can't do it. They're not prepared.
Now, look, and we can get into this another time, but I just want to mention the fact that you're an author, you've written books on the business, and you have a strong opinion about the business. And I want to talk to you about that and ask, what advice would you give to a newcomer, a filmmaker that is just starting out and maybe has $30,000, $40,000 to produce their first film?
Well, ironically so, all the materials I've written about happen to do with the financial aspects of making movies, so I do have some authority on speaking on this. I have a saying, it's two things make film and television, and that's people and money, in that order.
Sure.
People make film and television, and you have to have money.
You know, and if I may add to that, because a very good friend of mine who's right there behind the camera always says, and I totally agree, is that business is not about money. Business is about people.
Yes.
Is that your
Yes.
opinion as well?
You can't make a movie by yourself.
Right.
You can, but you know, it's not going to be probably any good.
Yeah.
You know, there's moving parts to it. So $40,000, for an example, seems like a lot of money, but it goes fast making a movie. And so that type of person is going to have to lean on their relationships in the business. And you know, a lot of people poke fun at Hollywood and say, oh, you know, it's flaky and this, that, and the other thing. Real Hollywood, the people that really make film and television are some of the most professional, capable people in the world. And when they say, I'll be there at 6 a.m., they're there at 5:30 having breakfast so they don't get caught in traffic.
Right.
And when they work 12, 14, 16 hours a day, every day, without complaining, knowing what their job is. And they'll come help you on your production if you're the producer or the director or the actor that's asking for help, because that's what we all do. It's very professional, it's very helpful, but you have to treat them right.
Yeah.
You know, you have to respect their time and their contribution, with or without money. Money can't fix a director or producer that's disrespectful or wasteful.
Right.
But it sure can go a long way to somebody that is, you know, aware.
Absolutely. And I just want to make one last point before we wrap it up. The most important elements of filmmaking, in your opinion? What do you start with? What's the most important element of?
Well, it's always about the story.
Right.
I mean, so if you have a great writer or a great story, and you attach it to lousy acting, or lousy directing, or lousy production value, it's probably going to turn out lousy. So I can't attribute it to one, but I would put it in this order. The story has to be rock solid. The actors have to be not only good actors, but they have to be directed well. Then two other things that are probably rarely spoken about, and they're connected at the same, is your director of photography. He's equally, if not in some ways more important than the director, because he's going to give the look of the story.
Exactly.
And over 10, 20, 30, 50 days of shooting, he or she is going to keep it consistent.
Right.
And you know, if you've got a spooky movie, you're not going to hire a DP that shoots things bright, light, and airy.
Exactly.
So that's important. And then music.
Right.
So those, you have the script, the story, the actors and the directors, they're a combination, but then you have the DP and the score, the music, and that's
the sound.
Gives you the feeling of things.
Right.
So they have to work together as a team with whatever money they have available.
Right.
And it's really war.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for
Very
joining
welcome.
us on
Very welcome.
Aspiring Hollywood. And you guys, check Tim out. He's on Facebook at TDJ Studios. His studio is in North Hollywood and on Burbank Boulevard. And check him out, friend him, and he perhaps can help you with your next project, just like he has helped in the past Aspiring Hollywood. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out on aspiringhollywood.com or our YouTube channel, which is constantly growing, and very excited about that. And until next time, I'm Luciano Saber. See you then.